I was always a theater kid. I did all the plays and musicals in high school. And I even did this creative problem solving program called Destination Imagination, where I wrote and became Michel the ogre, who sang I Feel Pretty and wore a hula hoop dress on stage. I know what you're thinking. He's gay. And you're right. When I was younger, if I knew that you were thinking that, it would have destroyed my whole world. But now it's a different story, kind of. It all started in middle school. Well, it actually started before that, but I'm going to skip to the good part. My friends and I were really weird. So we would come up with all these games and scenarios and do them at lunch, and it was a great time. We started to create this family tree, and it included superheroes and celebrities and movie characters. So imagine this. Oprah and Spider-Man get married, and their child is none other than SpongeBob. And then Oprah and Spider-Man have a fight, and they get a divorce, and then Oprah remarries Harry Potter. It was really weird. And it started on this 8.5 sheet of paper, and 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And it quickly grew to more 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, precariously taped together. And we'd sprawl it out across the cafeteria table. And I don't really know how this started, but I know exactly how it ended. We started to, one by one, add ourselves to this seriously messed up family tree. And my friends all got added one by one, and then it got down to me. And one of my friends said, "Let's add Jamie." And another said, "Well, I know, he should marry a man because he's gay." I ran out of the cafeteria. I started crying, and I couldn't see anything. The assistant principal came out and asked me what happened, but I was too choked up, both from crying and also the embarrassment of being called gay. I wasn't gay. I mean, I was, but no one else knew that. That was my secret to keep. I was never planning on acknowledging it or even saying anything out loud about it. So why would I tell this woman who I barely knew my deepest, darkest secret? Eventually, she kept asking what was wrong, and I could finally speak, and I said, "Nothing's wrong. I just have a test next period, and I'm really worried about it." I was lying, of course. And eventually, I got her to let me go. And I went to my next class, and later that afternoon, my friends apologized, but I didn't believe them. I wanted so desperately for people to stop talking about me being gay that I would do anything. So a week later, I had a girlfriend. And I was going to convince everyone and myself that I was straight. It didn't work. A couple weeks later, they called me down to the counselor's office, and they asked me how I was doing. I said, "I was doing great, and I'm friends with everyone, and I frankly don't know why you're calling me down to the office." Again, I lied. I denied help. I denied what was going on. I denied being gay. I ended up coming out in my freshman year of college, and I quickly learned that coming out is not something you just do once and it's over. It's something that you do every single day, every single time you meet someone new. And then I learned that eventually my hardest coming out would not be to my college friends or my parents, but my high school students. I started teaching a couple of years ago, and in my first year, I taught 5 preps, which is way too damn many. I taught leadership. What is that? I don't know. I taught ninth grade living environment, and I didn't know what I was doing, but my students often made really insensitive comments and homophobic remarks and inappropriate jokes. Whenever they did, I would admonish them and say that it was wrong and then quickly move on without saying why I didn't like hearing what they were saying. One day, a student called another, very loudly, a faggot. I quickly admonished that student and I said, "You can't say that, that's really wrong," and tried to move on. I didn't want to admit and tell the students that why I was so upset was because I was gay. One of my students raised her hand and said, "Mr. Kubiak, why do you always get so mad when people say gay? Are you gay?" I froze, and I was in middle school all over again. Worried about my friends thinking that I should get married to a man because I was gay. I stopped and I thought, am I gonna tell them? And I decided not to. But instead I said, no, I just have a lot of gay friends, and so it's really offensive. But I didn't tell them the real reason was because I was gay and I found it personally offensive. In one moment, I made a mistake that I still regret to this day. Not only did I hurt myself, I hurt my students. There were queer kids in that class. I could have stood up for them. Sorry. Why was this so hard? I was out to everyone else, virtually everyone else in my life, my parents, my family, everyone. Why couldn't I just tell them? Why couldn't I be honest? Why was I keeping this a secret? I ended up moving schools, and I promised myself that at my new school, I wouldn't make the same mistake. So I started at a new school, and about halfway through the year, I started to feel a little more comfortable, and it was about to be sixth period. Lunch had just ended. We were coming back, and I was about to unlock the door to my classroom. And out of the blue, one of my students, Wendy, she said, "Mr. Kubiak, do you have a girlfriend?" To which I happily replied, "No, I don't." And then I hoped that that would be the last question that I would hear and we would just move on. Without missing a beat, Wendy asked me, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And I froze like so many times before, but I told myself this time I was going to be brave and I was going to do the right thing for not only myself, but for my kids, because I knew Wendy was gay. So I said, "Yes, I have a boyfriend." And the first 10 minutes of that class were spent answering all of their questions. And high schoolers have a lot of questions. But I answered their questions, we started the lesson, and it was fine. They didn't care. I mean, they cared, but they didn't see me differently for being gay. So after that, at the start of the school year, I've decided now that I come out on the first day to my students. And a couple of years ago, one of my students started a slow clap when I said I was gay. I mean, think about that. She started a fucking slow clap. Like, come on. It was like all of the years of worrying what people thought about my sexuality just withered away, and it was fine. I'm in a much better place now. I run the GSA at my school with my lovely colleague who's sitting right here. And I'm visibly out to my students. But I almost wonder if things could have gone differently. Maybe if school staff, like teachers and counselors and admin and everyone, had more training and resources to talk to LGBTQ kids. Maybe if curriculums affirmed them and represented them and celebrated them instead of admonished them or othered them, then maybe kids wouldn't have to go through what I did. I just know that if I had not grown up in a society that told me that being gay was wrong and that it was a choice and that I was going to go to hell for being gay, then I might be in a different place. But that's not the reality we live in. And I don't blame the gay theater kid in middle school who didn't want to come out, because this is a secret that kids hold, and I held that secret for so long, but why does it have to be a fucking secret? Why? I'm done keeping it a secret. I'm done staying quiet. Every kid, LGBTQ plus or not, deserves to be in a classroom, in a school, and in a community where they feel safe, they feel loved, and they feel like they can be who they are, no matter whom they love, who they are, or how they represent themselves. I'm working to fix this because it's really messed up that kids have to go through this like I did. Will you join me? Thank you.